All right. Now, chapter 2. Before we go into this, any questions? So far, okay? Right. Now, let's go into chapter 2. Chapter 2 is basically going to talk about, testing and exercising basics. Right. First, understand the principle of developing BCP testing and exercising. This is very key because if you are required to do minimum one training, assuming that is what your policy is saying, okay, guys, you have to do at minimum one BCP test or BCP exercise a year is a different story. But in some organization, they are required to do 2 DR tests and 2 BCP tests. All right. One, just a BCP test. Another BCP test is combined with the IT. So it is full scale, right? So when you do this kind of testing on a yearly basis, if you don't understand the principle, you do not do according to a requirement, trust me, it will go haywire. As I mentioned earlier, we have seen companies doing testing the same way with the same scenario for the last 5 years. Because they say easy, no need to recreate. I already have all the documentation. Just do only because it's a requirement. So I'm fulfilling the organization's requirement. So the other way is to really do it to test the participants' understanding on the BCP and whether is it a doable, is it something that we say we can do, especially when it comes to your RTO and RPO, right? Don't you want to know if IT is number one, capable of provision you with the requirement within the RTO that you have requested? Number two, can your people mobilize yourself to wherever that you're supposed to go and start the work within the RTO that you have said you wanted? So all these need to be tested, right? Now, understand the test development process, okay? Identify the type of test. So this is where you will actually have a yearly plan, okay? Not as and when required, but usually what we will do is when we do consulting for clients, we will create a 3-year testing and exercising plan, all right? So we will tell them, okay, year 2023, these are the functional tests you're going to do. These are the component tests that you're going to do. These are the departmental exercise or testing that you're going to do. And these are the major tests that you're going to do. So one whole year, all right, once you get sign off from the management, you just keep doing and doing and doing and doing and doing. So for the year 2, we will also create another test plan, probably increase the complexity, okay, and we will change the structure of the test a bit. We will fill up, we will also tell them these are the requirements, success factors and everything. So we will do it for 3 years. So when you do that, on the 4th year, you will know how you have progressed over time, okay, and what are the improvements you need to make. Because please remember, in 3 years, you may hire new people, old people would have left, all right? The size of your business would have grown. The nature of your business would have changed. You may have introduced new products and services. So your testing must also reflect all this. Okay. Then recognize the consideration when planning, okay, for tests. So there might be, as I mentioned, new requirements from the management. There might be a lot of new additions, okay, within your business. So all those need to be considered before you start doing your testing. Okay. Now, next one is basically principles of developing BCP test and exercise. Okay. What is testing and exercising? Again, that's the question. All right, as you know, it's actually a process of simulating a recovery with the intention of uncovering errors and omission in the recovery plan. Okay. Now, this is also what your audit people need to understand. All right. They are very good. They have gone for training. They are certified auditors, understand, no doubt. But when we do testing and exercising within an organization, remember, testing and exercising based on scenarios that we have never seen before, correct? You do testing based on bomb threat. I've not seen one. You are doing testing based on major fire in one of your plants, for example. I've never seen it before. You're doing testing based on major tremor, not earthquake, tremor. Everybody required to run out. All right. So you need to understand when I do testing, all I can do now is to identify the errors in terms of people's name, contact numbers, all right, the timeline, is my RTO achievable? So these are the omissions and errors that you can correct, all right? And of course, you will increase the understanding of the participants. So the more you do, the better it is, right? These are some of the objectives. Okay, eliminate errors, omissions in the plan. Yes, we are definitely doing that. The more you rehearse, the more you practice, all right, the more preparedness we are creating for our employee. Agree? In many organizations, whenever there's a fire drill, you see, fire drill is just the entry level. You guys agree? Before you even go into this, okay, testing and exercising for BCP, fire drill is the entry level of testing to see how quickly we can evacuate this building. Do you know, until today is, this is 2022, all right? People still do not do fire drill correctly, all right? Even this year, all right, when we went as observers, okay, because sometimes we get invited, okay, to clients testing and exercising. So we will go in at critics. So we will sit there and take point. Until today, all right, whenever there is a fire drill, do you know only floor marshals are participating? It's a fire drill, but floor marshal are taking part in it. Floor marshal are walking down. Floor marshals are standing in the assembly point, all right? And then after like 10-15 minutes, they are coming back into the building. Why? Because the rest of the people cannot be disturbed. It's a Monday morning and they are busy working. That is the excuse. So we said it's wrong. Disaster do not wait for you to finish your work. Disaster do not wait for you to finish your report, your meetings, nothing. It will just eat you up alive. All right. So everybody in the organization need to understand that. Right? We don't have to go far. Even in Singapore, whenever there's a fire drill, the CEO of the company will be standing at the assembly point. All right. Hotels will do fire drills, okay, with their guests. Have you guys seen it before? All right. So all the guests will actually be standing at the assembly area with their towels. Right? So it is becoming a norm. But here in our part of the world, we are very scared. Okay, my CEO will get angry, my bosses will get angry if I drag them out. So leave them alone. So can you imagine if you keep training your floor marshal, they will become so good during disaster, they will disappear first. And you guys are still in the company, surrendered. Okay. And then, so the more you rehearse, the better it is. Assess your BC plan effectiveness and efficiency. Again, you want to understand how effective the plan is, all right? So whether the RTO and the RPOs, the MTPD that you have put in, is it really effective, all right? And how quickly, how efficiently your people are responding to all this is also key, right? Update plan with result from the test. So every time you do a test, every time there is a report that is being generated after the test, it will actually help you with an action plan. All right. There's also a form that talks about action plan. Whatever that you have identified from the critique form that was given to you is being transferred into this action plan. And you have a timeline on when this action plan need to be executed. So every time you do a test, there will be a good change to your actual plan. Okay. Now, task. Okay. Design an overall program for testing and plan. Okay. Did you guys have a chance to do this in your template? Okay. Then develop plans and schedule for specific tests. Did you guys try to do this as well? That means you basically took one component within your organization or one department or just one process. Okay. Develop an evaluation mechanism. Okay, this is also within the template uh, where you can set criterias, all right, on how your test should be. Okay, so that can also be done, but these are some of the tasks that you probably would have done as well. All right. Okay, now some of the deliverables when you do your testing and exercising, all right, as you can see here, list of tests that you want to do. Okay, again, when you go through, I mean, we will see later. Okay, there are various type of testing that can be done within a year, and your testing, not everything has to be a serious one. You know, like we're going to kill somebody today. No, right? Of course, the criteria are going to be serious, but when they do exercising, it's supposed to be a bit more fun because we want them to learn as much as possible. When we do a test, it will be a bit more serious because we really want them to perform. All right. So the responsibilities of parties involved. All right. So when we do any testing, usually what happens is we will tell them, okay, you guys are just observers. You are not a part of this department. You are a part of a different department. Okay. I want you guys to observe and tell us if we are doing it okay. And who are these people? I will usually choose a dependent. That means within my interdependency, all right, where my dependencies are higher, okay, I will actually ask them to see or participate within my testing because I want them to give me a remark because when something goes wrong with me, it will also affect them. Number two, I will also involve my senior leadership team to show them that, hey, this is how we do it. Can you please give us your input? I will also invite my audit team, 1 or 2 person, to sit there to see how we are actually exercising our responsibilities or even the plan. And I will collect all these people's input. Okay, I will put it in a table. And when I do a post-mortem meeting, all right, I will usually do a post-mortem session. I will invite all the participants, everybody that got involved and tell them, all right, this is how the test took place, right? This was the objective. This is what we did right. This is what we did not do so well. These are the things that we need to do to further improve our sessions. And these are all the remarks that was given by all our observers. And these are the action plan. So every test, I always make sure I do postmortem. And I know what are the areas that need to be improved. And before the next exercise, when I do my pre-exercise meeting, I will always update them to say that, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the objective. These are the criteria. These are the observers. These are the changes that we have made to our plan based on the previous exercise. So we will be doing exercise based on this. All right. So I usually do this for organization like 4 times in a year. Same pattern, but scenarios will change. So automatically moving forward, when I do this in 2022, 2023, they are already expecting me to do the same. Very guided approach. Scenarios will change. Observers will change. There might be some changes in the processes, right? But the expectation is the same. So next year, if can, I will do much better, much better, much better. And I also know organization that has a testing and exercising T&E supervisor or sorry, officer dedicated just to do this. So all this person does is he will work with everybody within the organization, and he will just plan and plan and plan all these different type of testing and exercising. Can you believe that? He is T&E officer, but within the BCM or ERM scope. But throughout the year, this is the only thing he does. Coordinate. All right. So when he's coordinating the bigger picture, which is the organization level testing and exercising, he will have some support. Okay, another 5 people will be given for him to coordinate. But the rest of the time, he single-handedly manages this for a company that has about 2,000 plus employees. Okay. Now, specific test plans, as I mentioned, description, your scenarios, your procedures, so anything that we want to do, all right? Evaluation of the forms, your checklist. So all these are basically some of the deliverables that you will have, during your testing and exercising, all right? Okay. 2 things as we talked, okay? Exercising and testing are very simple. Exercising is basically to create, right, this understanding, within our people, all right, that hey, we have all these things, okay, let's play, let's practice so that we can improve ourselves better. The more you practice, the more aware you will become on all the processes that you have, on all the nitty-gritty that you are required to perform, all right. So it is basically to understand what you have, to make necessary improvements in terms of documents, in terms of positioning of yourself, in terms of your RTO, RPO, MTPD requirement, and improvement of any other details within your business continuity plan. When I say testing, it's very simple. It's just pass or fail. All right. You say that this time we want to achieve A. Are we achieving A? If you are not achieving that A, you fail. When you do post-mortem report, you will find out, okay, we did not achieve what we wanted because of all these reasons. Therefore, these are the improvements that is required or that are required. You make the changes, you do the test again to see whether you pass. So this is when your auditors will come in and say, oh, you say you want to do this. You did not, and you failed your test. We give you 2 weeks to redo the test. So this is the difference between exercising. So exercising, you can do every month. No problem. Testing, you choose when you want to do it. You can do 2 testing, 1 testing, all right, in a year. Larger organization, they will do 2 IT testing and 1 BCM testing, minimum. So it depends on your requirement. All right. Okay, so test and development process. As you can see, design a test program. All right, this is basically where your templates will. Oh, never mind. Do we wait? Okay, we wait for them first. Huh? Okay, I think they're not here yet. Okay, never mind. We will just wait for them. The bathrooms are quite far. Okay. But Anchi, how many coordinators? I mean, how many people are basically dedicated to do BCM in your place?
I wouldn't say we have a dedicated team, but I suppose my team is more dedicated than the others because all of us have other assignments as well, other roles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But you do have organizational BCM coordinators, right?
Not at
I,
the moment.
Okay.
just review our I would say BCM structure lah. The governance in the company to include the BU coordinators after
Okay.
this training. So
Right. Okay.
Morgan, maybe we can seek your advice on this BCM.
Mhm.
How big normally for how big would this team be? I mean, how many people are required to
Okay.
for this
First-
BCM? Should we have a dedicated team or can be?
All right. What is the number of employees that you have in the organization? How big is your organization?
1,000.
All right. Okay. 1,000 is considered big. All right. So when we say 1,000 people, meaning there is a lot of processes that are being done on a daily basis. There are a lot of departments, meaning there's also a lot of functions. Now, I do understand that everybody is basically busy with whatever that they are here to do. Correct? They have a day-to-day job. Nobody is actually free because everybody is executing something. Now, these are some of the pros and cons. When you basically engage someone on a part-time basis, all right. Now, BCM for some reason has always been seen as additional work, even in a larger organization. You see, I have done consulting for MCMC. All right. Even there, when you appoint somebody, they said, I have so much of work. So the concentration on BCM is close to none. So what they will start doing is, I have no choice. My boss asked me to do it. And this is a task where I'm doing with no extra pay or no extra recognition. Do I really want to put in my concentration? No. So what do? I only fulfill the requirement. Every year I do the same thing. Have you done your work? Yes. Have you done this? Yes. So do you really see an effective BCM program in your organization? You don't. But is the question's answer? Yes. Have you done it? Yes. Will it work? I don't know, because this is not my primary role. So I can give you an example. In some organization, they have 9 people dedicated just for BCM.
How many?
9.
For a company of how many headcount?
Maybe about 2,000 plus. Okay. Even the smallest I've seen is 3 dedicated. So day in, day out. All right. Because people always believe that, oh, you're going to do BCM only once a year. So why do we need a special headcount for this kind of work? Actually, no. BCM is a year-around work, whereby beginning of the year they will start, re-looking into all the documentations. All right, they will start scheduling testing. So even when you have somebody doing testing, as I mentioned, you can do testing for 1,000 people throughout the year. Time is not enough. All right. And then there will be a lot of other activities within BCM that they can actually do. So ideally, if you have somebody dedicated for BCM, it's good because they will be very focused in only doing that. And they will basically be the people who help the rest of the coordinators, departmental coordinators, not taking out too much time out from their actual work, but at the same time achieve the ultimate goal. All right, which is to have resiliency within the organization. Now you need to understand, when you do BIA, all right, maybe the version 1 which was sent to us could be a simpler one, but version 2, if you notice, it really give you the information. Failing to perform that particular duty of particular process a day is going to cost you this much of money, financial losses, right? Company of your size, all right, the nature of your business, you may have tons of regulatory challenges. People can start suing you, for example. So if you look at it, can a person who is doing 95% normal work, which is their day-to-day business as usual, and only 5% or less work on BCM, how are you going to achieve this objective? Right? So that is a question that you need to ask. Otherwise, the coordination will just become a part of another activity that I do on a yearly basis. All right. Nobody can really penalize me on anything because yeah, I'm just doing the company a favor. So it really depends on what you want to achieve when you embark into a BCM, right? Because if you are going to embark in getting your organization certified as ISO 22301 certified organization, you cannot have part-timers. You must have a full-time BCM staff. Otherwise, the concentration will not be there. We have seen it. We have seen organization failing big time. All right, when a real disaster happened, because everything is everywhere. And now, assuming Anchi, you are assigned to be the person, right? All right, BCM coordinator. Now, during a real disaster, you want to recover your business or you want to coordinate BCM? Which role do you want to do? Because your people are also looking up to you and say, Anchi, I need your help. How do I do this? How do I do this? At the same time, the entire organization is also waiting for you to give the right instruction. Okay. So it's like you save everybody else, but you can't save yourself. So starting, it's fine, but moving forward, okay, over time, you need to have trained, all right? You need to have a subject matter expert internally to guide the entire organizations towards resiliency. So that is a requirement. It's not a must. It's not a must. But if you're looking into resiliency seriously, then you need to have that.
Yeah, understand that. Just a question for the BCMS implementation, typically how long it would take for certification? Let's say if we want to consider that.
What, 3 months?
Huh?
Yeah. If
You,
just
you
the
mean implementation
certification
as in 3 months data, or I mean the preparation from the start to the end
from the
for
start.
readiness
Okay.
for certification?
Now,
Sorry?
when we engage, okay, this is the process, okay? What happens is now, if you are ready, it will take only about 2 weeks. That means we straight away engage CRIM or we engage CSM. Okay, CSM, you know, Cybersecurity Malaysia is also a certification body now, yeah? All right. You just need to get a date. They will give you a checklist. You just need to get a date. They will say, okay, 2 weeks from now, we will come and do your testing. I mean, what we call that audit. That is only 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, you just do whatever preparation and then you keep all your documentation. The first audit is basically documentation audit. They will come, they will
Murugan,
look
I'm
at,
not talking about the audit. I'm saying from the start to readiness for audit, how long typically would it take?
Depends how ready are you.
Okay, so you're talking about a year?
No. If assuming you already have all the documentation to review, update,
assuming we don't have much
totally
documentation.
1 year.
Okay.
Plus
So
minus.
typically a year.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Actually,
I think we move on. Otherwise, we can
yeah.
finish
Okay.
our module
Is
today.
the rest of them are here already?
Should be.
Okay. Right. All right. So moving on, testing and exercising process. As I mentioned, this is where you basically design the test program. This is basically by using all the templates that you already have. Okay. You have to execute the test. Execute test based on the documentation that you have created, the templates that you have created, design, profile. All right. And then you basically assess the result of this. All right. Because you have also been given the critic forms. All right. And other samples as well. All right. And then the last point, if you can see, it's in color, like testing and exercising your BC plans. So you planned for it first, and then you execute. And as usual, you will basically talk about your postmortem later once you have concluded all these tests. Okay. So designing is very, very key. So this is where you will basically put in all your details on what exactly you want to achieve. Now, type of BCP tests and exercises. These are some of the samples. As I mentioned, you can do components testing, okay? Meaning you can actually take smaller portions of your organization. It could be by business function. It could be by processes, because in some organization, even the processes are huge, right? So these are all considered component testing. So in IT, when we say component testing, it could be by servers, it could be just a network, all right? It could just be your VLAN testing, all right? It could just be your telecommunication testing. So these are all component testing. Number two, when we talk about notification, this is usually referred to your call tree exercise. Do you guys do call tree exercise today? Yes, no? All right. Now, when I say call tree exercise, it's basically like whenever there's an emergency or whenever there's a disaster, please understand that the disaster can happen before your working hours or after your working hours. Now, even if it happens during your working hours, now, some of them could be on leave. Some of them could be away having a meeting in a different location, and all these people are to be notified. So how quickly you notify these people, the better it is. So whenever there is a situation, how are you going to notify these people? So you will actually have a chart, call tree chart, to say who calls who, right? So it is always good to simplify the number of people that you are about to call, right? It's not like one person is supposed to call 20 of them. No, call tree exercise are basically like one call maximum 5 of them to inform what happens, right? So you also do notification testing. It could be on a quarterly basis to see how effectively the message can be escalated, okay, to everybody within the organization. Then you have another test which is called walkthrough. Okay, there is also another name for it. It is also called as tabletop exercise. Now, what we will usually do is we bring in the group of people within the department or two different departments into the same room. We don't want them to memorize. Okay, we don't want them to memorize the plan. Instead, we want them to know which page do I flip if I need certain information. So what I will usually do is we will throw a scenario. Okay, guys, this is the situation we are having now. Now, how do we react to this? So everybody will have a discussion, say, okay, I want to do this. Based on my plan, I will do this. I will inform all these people. These are the things that I will carry out. So this is walkthrough exercise. All right. So initial test, all right. A simpler version, you have component, notification, and you have walkthrough. Okay. Then you basically have advanced level exercises. Okay. This is where your scale of your testing is slightly bigger. You have integrated exercises, right? So when I say integrated, can you see? Test involves integrating any number of the components, right, in order that they would occur during actual recovery operation. So this is basically slightly advanced. It's not just talk, right? You basically put testing in place. Okay, you have simulation. Okay, when I say simulation, you pick a scenario and then you basically do your exercises based on this simulation. Okay, today we are going to have a bomb threat. That is our what we call that, the name that we are going to use. Bomb threat is our scenario. Now, how do we react, okay, from start to end if there is a bomb threat within the organization? Okay, so it's a simulation based. Explosion, for example, explosion that lead to, okay, thick black smoke, okay, explosion of one of the gas tank, okay, that could be very fatal. So all these are scenarios that you create. Of course, life is basically you create a scenario, you come to work on a Monday, you declare a disaster, you get 1,000 people in that location to evacuate, go to assembly area, you do a roll call, and then you declare a disaster, and these 1,000 people supposed to execute whatever that is written in the plan. So all those that need to be mobilized, they will mobilize themselves. All those need to go home, they will go home. All these things will take place. But do we really do live in Malaysia? No. We will always do on a Saturday and Sunday because we don't want to create another disaster. Right? So your simulation can be done on Saturday, Sunday on a larger scale, which is very similar to live exercises. Okay. So advanced level exercise, there are 3. When I say integrated, it also means that you can actually call all your dependencies and exercise the plans that you have created. Okay. Now, consideration when planning for tests. Okay. What are the scope? Okay, and to what extent you want to do these tests? Is it just half an hour? Okay, tabletop exercise, or do you want to do half a day? Do you want to do full day? Right. And what would be the scope? Do you want to just test the effectiveness of the document, or do you want to test the understanding of the people? All right. Or what do you want to test is under the scope. All right. Your resource planning. Who's supposed to be involved? Okay. What are their job scope during this test? All right. Because when you are doing testing, please remember, you are taking people out of their normal working time. All right. So all this has to be formalized. So if you are requesting, usually what happens is when we are requesting for people to participate, we will basically put in a schedule and we will send an official email to the respective business unit head to say that we will be doing testing. These are the scope. And from your department, these are the people that will be involved in the testing. And we need them out of the business as usual for the next 3 hours. And all these are recorded, right? So resource planning. People involved, planning should not be involved in the testing, all right? So usually the coordinators will not be a part of the testing. So planners are always planners, all right? Cost effectiveness. Now, when we do testing, do we want to, give them food? Are you required to purchase anything? So all this has to be planned so that you can request for the budget. Okay, because in some organization, budget doesn't come from the BCM team, it comes from somebody else. So we have to ask for budget if there are any costs involved. Whatever situation or scenarios that we are creating, it has to be realistic and relevant. All right. So that's what I said. We will increase the complexity over time. Right. The objective of any testing and exercising is not to pass every time I do it. It's okay to fail. But the process of doing this testing and exercising must be correct. Okay. Because in some organization, they always feel that when I'm doing testing, I need to pass. So they will do a lot of backdoor job, okay, to pass this test and exercise when you are not doing this for external people. Okay. So whatever that we create from the time we start has to be very realistic. Start small, okay, and then over time we increase the complexity. And then the consideration, the next one will basically be, okay, it has to be interesting, it has to be motivational. So we don't want something which is very stagnant, very dry. People will not appreciate the exercise that we do. So there will be some activities, pre and post activities that we do before the test and exercise. And of course, the last one is your timing. All right. The time has always been the biggest challenge to get people out, all right, to do all this testing. So these are some of the consideration that you need to look into.